Mr. Wilson, the governor's office puts out a publication called News Clips of little items from papers all across the state. It comes out daily. You may have seen it from time to time. One came out last week, and I don't think I have it anymore. Some publication was quoted saying Tennessee was the most corrupt state in the country. Well, that shocked me. Can you?
I'll tell you what I know about.
Yeah. What do you know about it, and what do you know about the truth or untruth of it?
That's right. I believe that this report was issued by the Daily Caller, and I've looked at the article, and it did not state the basis in which this finding was made. But I can tell you a little bit about what I believe to be the case. This is based on reported corruption, not actual corruption. And it really says that we are more effective in rooting out and reporting corruption. That's part because Tennessee may be the only state that follows both GAP and the Yellow Book, not just for the state, but for all our political subdivisions. And we're extraordinarily aggressive in encouraging our citizens to report waste and fraud and abuse. We encourage it. You know, we believe, and most auditors across the country will tell you, is that fraud is a potential in any government. But also that the likelihood of a person committing fraud decreases dramatically if that person believes there's a reasonable chance of being caught or exposed. That's why we're so very aggressive in doing that. It is to eliminate or lessen fraud in Tennessee. And I believe we've been successful doing that. I couldn't tie in the exact figures in the article. I tried to. I couldn't do it. I believe it simply says that we're doing our job.
Senator Henry, that makes me feel a whole lot better now that makes sense to me, because I was concerned about that same accusation against our state. But you know, if we do a better job of reporting it, because other states, like Chicago, come on.
This is all anecdotal, and anecdotal information you need to be suspicious of. You need to look at what we call professional skepticism. But anecdotally, the instances and the cases of fraud that I've heard from sister states are far greater than what we have in Tennessee.
Sure.
Now, yeah, that's anecdotal, so I don't want to.
Well, thank you for that explanation. Chairman McNally.
Thank you, Chairman Kittredge. And I would agree with you if you look at some of the major cases that have happened in Tennessee. I think there are about 80 indicted in Rocky Top. There was 10 or 12 in Tennessee Waltz, and of course a number of local officials. And it's because we don't look the other way, and we take strong action against people who embezzle or commit fraud against the public. But if you could drill down a little bit more on those figures and everything, I'd very much appreciate it. But I know in a lot of states it's simply the cost of doing business to bribe local officials, whether it's a building inspector or whatever. And in Tennessee, we've seemed to take a very aggressive stance, and I commend you and your office on being a large part of that, if not most of it.
Well, no, it's an attitude of the government officials, and it goes all the way across the state. And it's tone of the top. It's the if you encourage it or you look the other way, it's going to happen. I'm just
the local governments and quasi-local government bodies that do their own audits, or I guess they really don't do it their own, but they hire a local firm to do that. You did say you reviewed their materials. Do you ever do tests on certain figures that are?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Oh, yes. On a risk-based yes.
Okay, very good. And I know on a lot of them, it's simply management says, and it appears that they don't look behind what management's saying. They simply take their word for it on a number of the audits. But I'm glad you do test some of the statements that are made to see how accurate they are. And certainly what we've seen with your office has really been encouraging, because I think you've really cracked down on a number of different areas. One item is the court system, and up until very recently, the court could order us to do certain things, and we'd have to pony up the money. They also had a rather, and this, I know this practice has recently changed, but an interesting way of paying indigent defense counsels. They'd simply submit a bill and we'd pay it without really checking into it. And I know it's a real complex issue, but have you looked, or have you got any suggestions about how we could improve that?
I will within a few weeks. We have the separation of powers issues with the judiciary, as you could imagine, but also, the handling cash is legitimate, and we're in the process of reviewing portions of the judicial branch right now, and this is one of the things. And I don't want to talk about something we're in the process of doing right now.
Well, good. I'm glad to hear you're looking at that, because there's a giant sucking sound over there in the court system as far as dollars that are in the state treasury, and I would appreciate you taking a good close look at it. But thank you, and thanks again for what you do and what your staff does. I think it's a lot better than just about every state, and it's very helpful to us. Thank you.